Madness.
Space Madness. Or just Space Madness. This topic today is about... I'm just stalling while I pull up the right browser. Solar panel in space is collecting energy that could one day be beamed back to Earth. So this is very cool. The Pentagon has tested a solar panel the size of a pizza box, which is designed as a prototype for a future system to send electricity back to Earth. Okay, it's called the Photovoltaic Radio Frequency Antenna Module, or PRAM. It was launched last year in May, attached to the Pentagon's X-37B unmanned drone. We don't know much about what this drone is. I think Air Force's mysterious X-37B sets new record for time and space. Oh, it's this big unmanned orbital vehicle. I think it flies really high in the atmosphere, almost in space, and it launches things out into space. Anyway, that's sort of a secret space plane, the X-37. But what's not as secret is PRAM.
Sling Watch Party was made for people like Carlos.
Whoa.
And Bill and Dave.
What's making
and
noise?
Frank. Anyone who's missing out on
What
Hangout.
commercial dares interrupt my podcast? Okay, Sling, you're on my list. Okay, so what they have told us, even though much of the mission of the X-37 is secret, is that the PRAM is a, let's see, well, it's a pizza box sized solar panel, and it's sort of a proof of concept. The idea being we could harvest a lot more solar energy if we were harvesting it above the clouds. In fact, outside of the Earth's atmosphere, you have a clear shot at the sun and nothing in between if you're on the right side of Earth. And once that energy, well, the problem would be then, how do you get the energy produced back to Earth? But first of all, this 12 by 12 inch panel, the 1 foot on each side, produced 10 watts of energy. That's enough to power a tablet computer. So you could run your iPad. You could charge up your iPad off of it. That's not a lot, but the idea is it's free energy, and all we need to do is get it back to Earth. If we had imagine if there was 1 billion of these things, and they could somehow get the energy back to Earth, it would solve some of our renewable energy crisis right now. It actually has other implications for global warming as well, but let's keep going here. The universe yet to actually send power back to Earth, but that technology has been proven. Okay, if the project develops, okay, they're talking about huge space solar antenna. It could beam microwaves that would then be converted into free electricity back home. So what they're saying is, let's go back to the drawing board. The drawing board. New blueprint. The idea being that this little pizza box in space gets all its free energy from the sun, And then on Earth, you have, here's Earth. On Earth, you have these little receiver arrays, which are little antenna down here, and the pizza box could pinpoint it. And what happens is the pizza box, the antenna down Earth sends a carrier signal. So first, the antenna sends a signal up, bump, 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 to the pizza box. The pizza box uses that to find out exactly where the antenna is and make sure it's got a clear shot. Pew, and it sends by microwaves, pew, the energy down here. Now, that's just enough to power a iPad, but imagine there were hundreds or even millions of these, pew, and all beaming back, pew, microwaves, pew, 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 to the same antenna. Now, this antenna, eventually, the idea being it could light an entire city or more, the whole Earth. Very cool. Let's go back to Space Madness. That's how the technology is envisioned to work. One point of clarification, these microwaves send back are not harmful to people, as far as we know. There would be a very low energy sort of beam of microwaves coming back down. And I know you remember, was it Weird Science? No, what was the one? What was the other Weird Science? Science AF? Real Genius. I know you remember Real Genius, and I know that you've heard certain anti-Semitic far-right Congress people about the space lasers. In Real Genius, they used it to pop some popcorn, and it was pretty cool. But this is not going to be used to make space lasers. Maybe space lasers could happen in hundreds of years, but let's not worry about space lasers right now. Right now, lasers are pretty good at light. We have light lasers. Heat lasers that can actually burn things, are really big and hard to make. I know you can find some DIY kits where you can make lasers at home that could burn like wood at 20 feet away. That's cool. But to build a laser in space that would actually be able to burn anything of significance on Earth would be gigantic. We would see it. We would know it was there. It's not going to be done in secret. So anyway, there's no giant space lasers. We're talking about little beams of microwaves that could send a tiny bit, an iPad-sized packet of energy to the Earth, and we could cover the sky with them, and possibly at some point in the future solve our renewable energy problem. Back to the drawing board for a second. One other thing to note is that some of the heating of the Earth could be mitigated by a fleet of millions of pizza box solar panels in the sky, or rather in space above the sky, and reflecting or absorbing some of the energy before it comes to Earth, some of the heat energy, and that could be used also to combat global warming. The amount of actual heat energy that hits the Earth determines to some extent how much warming is going to happen, and if our Earth, if the climate becomes 2, 3, 4 degrees hotter, having a whole fleet in space to cut down the sunlight by 90% might be another way to save us from the Earth becoming a bubbling pot of Venus. Our next topic, bubbling pot of Venus. I can't leave it on that. From the Earth becoming an untenable crockpot of evil.